Today's meeting between the Prime Minister and Premiers on a climate change plan has hit a rough patch. And sources have told CBC News that provincial and territorial leaders are prepared to walk away from the bargaining table. The federal government says they're willing to impose a carbon tax if leaders can't agree on a carbon reduction plan. Robert Niven is at a different conference in Vancouver, the Global Series on Sustainable Business. He's also watching the leaders and their discussions on a carbon tax. Robert is the founder and CEO of CarbonCure Technologies, which is based in Halifax and geared to reducing greenhouse gas emissions in one particular business. Robert joins me live from our studio in Vancouver. So, Robert, how would you describe what it is that your company exactly does to reduce carbon emissions?
Hi, Andrew. Very nice to be here. Thank you so much. CarbonCure is a clean technology company for the concrete sector. What we do is we actually use greenhouse gases, or CO2 specifically, to make a stronger concrete with a lower carbon footprint. So this is a win-win solution where we help concrete producers make a better, lower cost product while also reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So it's a model that's really taken off. We're seeing a lot of business right now across Canada and the US and are looking at export markets in the very near future.
I didn't realize, maybe I should have, but I didn't realize that creating concrete actually creates a lot of carbon emissions in the way that it's been traditionally created, right?
Actually, the CO2 emissions come from the cement production, which is, of course, cement used in concrete. Concrete itself doesn't emit a lot of CO2 emissions, but they can be a big piece of the solution for the industry, which is working very quickly right now to fall in line with this massive growth in the green building sector.
So that's we're just showing a statistic that cement production is 5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. So it seems like, is it a difficult process in terms of capturing the carbon emissions and sort of putting it back into the cement production?
It's actually pretty easy. We put a lot of thought into the design of this process, and we actually are a drop-in technology that retrofits concrete plants. It actually takes them less than a week to be up and running, and we source the CO2 from available commodity markets. So CO2 is used millions of tons across the world for things like the food and beverage industry, carbonated beverages, and refrigeration. So what we do is we use that CO2 that's available today at a rather affordable cost and now use that to make a better, lower carbon concrete. In the future, we'd actually like to see the CO2 captured directly from cement plants rather than other industries and have that directly used downstream for concrete products. But right now, the model works perfectly fine as it is. And at the end of the day, you're stopping CO2 emissions from going up into the atmosphere and at the same time creating a competitive advantage for concrete producers that go green.
So tell me about that, because I understand how it's definitely good for the planet, but is it also good for a business's bottom line to use your product, or is it costly?
No, absolutely. I had to say that's a requirement, is for clean technology businesses, and there are a lot of great Canadian clean tech companies, is that this is a requirement for them. They have to figure out how to make their clients profitable first, and then also be able to help the environment. And really, the economy and profits and the environment can go hand in hand. This doesn't have to be a compromise. There are a lot of solutions out there. In fact, we were just in San Francisco the other day, where the top 100 clean tech companies were celebrated, of which CarbonCure was one of them. 10 of those companies were actually Canadians. And we've all had to figure out these models on how to marry up profitability with being good for the environment. And there's so many more solutions out there that we can develop.
So how busy are you in terms of how fast is this catching on?
Well, over the last 2 years, we've gone from just a couple pilot plants to today we're at 26. And by October, we should be able to hit 40. So, I guess I'll ask you, to me, that sounds like a lot of growth. And we're a small company out of Halifax, and we're just getting started and hitting our stride. So we really look at the future as being very promising.
I don't know whether you know this, but we've just been told that the Prime Minister and the Premiers, that they're at a bit of a standstill, that it's possible that the Premiers might walk out of this meeting, which just happens to be taking place in Vancouver, because they're having a tough time agreeing on on carbon pricing, the federal government saying that they may impose it if the premiers can't agree. What would you like to see, or what goes through your mind when you hear about these challenges, and what would you like to see come out of a meeting like that?
Well, I spend a lot of time traveling overseas and spend a lot of time specifically working in the States as well. And if we can't get a deal done, we're just going to continue to lose time. We've really lost a decade already about taking advantage of all of these commercial opportunities and being a leader in clean tech. And we do need signals from government for us Canadian homegrown clean technology companies to really succeed. So this is one piece of the puzzle that's really important. And if I could do anything, I would strongly encourage our politicians to be able to come to some form of an agreement, because there's a real opportunity here that's being passed by. And other countries see this, they're taking advantage of it, and are actually leaving us behind. So we need to catch up and play a much bigger role in this new clean technology industry.
Robert, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much.